Become the alchemist, the soul state. Shift your mindset from the reactive, which is the actor of the movie, to the reflective, which is the observer of the movie, understanding and creating what's not serving you, to then shift to a higher or a deeper state, which is the state of the co-creator, the one that created the movie itself as an assignment to help you remember who you are. That's the journey of remembrance, where you continuously become that seeker that is seeking for the truth, where all the answers of the wise reside, where you operate from a state of I am, from a state of being. Let's pause here about being. Most of us are doing too much and not being enough. So the story started by that storytelling of having is where happiness resides. So in order to have that perfect family picture, that beautiful house, beautiful car, and so on and so forth, you have to do. And the more doing you do, the more you're aiming to have. And whatever having you have is never enough. You're that hamster in the wheel, running and running and running and getting exhausted and overwhelmed. And while you're being busy in that rat race, you're actually pausing and parking aside the being, because it's the least priority, because I'm too obsessed by the having story. But the being state is where the truth resides. It's that soul state that leads you to understand who you are, why you're here for, what's your soul mission, that everything has a purpose, that challenges are there not against you, but they are for you, that you have attracted in your life to teach you the lesson and to remember who you are, that is way bigger than the having that is actually someone else's agenda rather than yours. So the more being we are, the more we can revisit that observer state, what's not serving us. The more we remember who we are, the more we reconnect with our soul state in order to understand what drives us. What is that passion, that fire that is within us, that we are to reignite, to lead our lives from the heart and from passion. The being state is, where is it in the body? In the heart. The doing and the achieving and it's very much the overthinking that everyone is suffering from, that everyone is stuck in as a state. So we are to understand that yes, we are conscious, and yes, there is a subconscious recording everything that we have recorded all throughout. But we are that super conscious, where the truth resides, where our gifts are. And it is all recorded for us to remember and recollect. How does it speak to us? Through the gifts of our intuition. We all have intuition, but unfortunately, we're busy overthinking and trying to control it from an ego state. That filter that I have referred to very often, that believes that is in control. And so it is too busy trying to control things, and is completely dismissing that inner voice that is a subtle voice called the intuition that leads us to tell us where to go, what are the decisions to be taken from where. But the overthinking leads us to drama after drama. And we're too busy just hearing that voice of drama, dismissing the intuition. So it's very important to find that pose, that sacred pose in your daily lives through your own practices, inner practice. So it could be prayers, meditation, journaling, grounding, being in nature, and any other manner to be in that inner state that is available for you, where you are in that state of superconscious. Most of us are into that mainstream state. There are 4 stages of consciousness. The first is the sleep consciousness. Mainstream are stuck in it. We're not paying attention. We're just reacting to life rather than understanding it, reflecting it, and responding to it. Most of humanity is stuck in this initial first stage of consciousness. The second stage is the dream state. That's why the industry of entertainment is booming. Too much distractions, which is technology that is leading our lives mostly nowadays. And we're getting lost in the illusion, not knowing and not remember who we are. And these two are the main consciousness states playing out in our lives as human beings. Then the third stage is the stage of walk consciousness, which requires effort. When you observe most of the movement that is leading us to seeking the path or seeking the truth is through the walk, be it opening a prayer mat or going to sacred places such as mosques, temples, churches, and so on and so forth. It's always in that state of movement, or any other pilgrimage that we do. It is always through that seeking path of moving forward towards reaching that higher state, be it God, to get that and these answers through the state of intuition. And then the last stage of consciousness is the awakened. Most of us, we are in different stages in different areas of our lives. And the journey of the seeker is to seek the truth behind and never get lost or stagnate in any of these states. To wake up to who you are, to wake up to your true self. And understand that the answers are not out there, the answers are within. And the more you walk your path to seek your own truth and your own answers, the more you awaken to who you are truly, that true self, that authentic self that remembers that it is here for a purpose, that is fulfilling its own mission and vision. And the more we realign with that voice, the more content we are in our lives and the better our lives becomes in reflection to who we are, and not in reflection of the movie that has been recorded passively and unconsciously. We shift from a state of unconscious to a state of superconscious. That state is basically being the adult self. So I'm going to refer to the transactional analysis model that we often refer to for as a process of developing your emotional intelligence. We start with the story of when we expect a child and we're very happy with the child is born, we celebrate, we get gifts and visits and happy times. And then as life goes on, that child that was expected and that we welcome with unconditional love, with joy, then days goes by, weeks goes by, eventually months goes by, and we shift our state from that unconditional love to, baby, please sleep. Mommy has to wake up, daddy has to wake up. And then here starts the role of the victim. The child feels like a victim, burdening its parents from having to take care of it. And that state of the victim is a very prominent state in a child's life. And then the parent becomes a judge. So the perpetuate voice of that child is, because of me, my parents are not sleeping, because of me, my parents are fighting, having challenges, and so on and so forth. It feels responsible for what happens to its parents and the adults. Up until it develops its own critical thinking when it hits the 2-digit number and it matures enough to understand how to use it, and then it points the finger back and says, hey, why did you create me if you don't know how to take care of me? I didn't choose to come here. You chose to have a child, and you're here to take your own responsibilities. 99% of relationships are stuck in the dynamic of the judge and the victim, or the parent and the child, that is stuck in that mode of action, the finger pointed, reaction. Up until we understand, and because we've been stuck in that situation for too long, then we revisit and we become that observer that reflects and undo all the do's that has conditioned us to those patterns, to unlock and release those patterns in order to then remember who we are, which is the soul that we are, and we incarnate on earth to live what we're meant to live, which is the adult state. Who is an adult? The adult is the one that knows who it is. I am. It speaks from a state of clarity. It speaks in a state of authenticity, of integrity, of honesty, of vulnerability, which is a very high trait that is being truthful in any situation. When the situation becomes too much, we take time, because often we've been in that autopilot of reacting, action, reaction. When the triggers are too big and we're not able to actually find the response where that comes from the adult state, we pause, we take time, we give half of an answer by saying, hey, whatever you're saying is bringing something up that I'm not quite sure to understand. Let me get back to you. Or an email that you receive that has triggered something big that you're not able to calm down. Then you take time, you pause, you answer to the email. Thank you, I'll sleep on it. I'll get back to you, in order to then recollect the answers and the response from the adult self. Release the triggers, release the pain, understand and integrate the learning in order to find then the truth, the wisdom. An adult is able to understand and identify its wisdom. It operates from a state of understanding, of compassion, of unconditional love, and it's where the response ability comes from. So it is an ongoing process. We will eventually go back to that state of the judge and the victim, or the parent and the child. It's a continuous one, but the most important thing is to take that space or that state of overview to reflect upon the situations and the people we attract in order to always be in capacity to respond. Many ways, many tools are available, as I have stated before in my previous episodes. Many tools in the holistic field, hypnotherapy, which is one of them that is very powerful, not only to undo and to declutter and to release the pain from its root state, but it's also to remember the biggest potential that is hiding behind, to remember that we are a soul and that the soul has its gifts, its memories, its legacy, that we also remember that we come from somewhere, that we belong to a land, we belong to a tribe, ancestors that have gifts, that have legacy that is there in our DNA, that is untapped, it is to remember. And it is where we start understanding that we are the co-creators, that we are super beings, superhumans, and it leads us to understand that we are the alchemists of our lives, that life that felt like it happened to us, it's happening not only by us, but through us, where we seek a greater force, God, that I call it God, the divine, that has a plan. And the more we remember to undo the conditionings and the programmings, the more we let go of the control, the more we reach that higher state, we rise our vibrations, become lighter and lighter in density, and we then enhance our intuition and we listen to that subtle voice where God speaks to us and lead our way to fly over and flow rather than walk hard and in efforts when we feel that we are being lifted, where our lives becomes facilitated by. And the outcome of our life is actually the mirror of who you are truly, rather than just another borrowed life that you don't understand. And you might live a lifetime without understanding. So I really, truly invite you to dig deeper, to do the inner work, to not only come to fix what you're not happy with, but to come to remember who you are. Very often people come because they have a problem, but then they're very grateful to the problem because it's that problem that led them to not only understand that they're capable enough to undo and find their own resources and find solutions and heal their wounds and solve their problems, but they are superhumans and they remember to who they are truly, and they live a life that is authentic and in reflection of who they are truly. So to summarize, I'm going to refer to the language of each one of the actors, of the victim, the judge, and the adult. The victim language is, I will try, I don't know, I'm confused. It's more avoidant. The judge is the finger pointed, you should, you must, you could, you would have. And then the adult is the one that owns its vulnerability. It knows who it is, but if it doesn't have the clarity in terms of response, it plays the card of vulnerability by being self, by being true self at any point of time. It reflects, it revisits whatever it triggered the situation. It does what it's not required. It declutters, it heals, it gets the teachings, and then it responds. So the entire journey of the alchemist is to remember who you are and to re-become that true self. How do you do that? By recollecting all the lost selves that we have parked aside, those fragments that we have parked aside once upon a time when I went through pain when I was too small and I did not know how to deal with it. And the journey is the journey within you to recollect all those, I call them the soul fragments, to become your whole self, your true self, your authentic self, your purest state of who you are. Recollecting your inner child, remembering who you are is the best investment you could ever do on yourself. You are the asset. You are your own truth. But you're just there to remember and to make sure that the reality of your life is a mirror of who you are rather than what happened to you. Whenever I see myself overthinking or overwhelmed, I have a tip to share with you that helps me in my life. When I don't know if it's the voice of the mind versus the voice of the heart, I always pause. I land back into my heart. I take a few deep breaths and I speak to God from there, because God speaks to us through the intuition and through our hearts. Our hearts is the gateway to the divine, the gateway of our souls. I stay there for a while. I use my breath, my prayer statements. I take that sacred pose and I ask the question. When I am in doubt towards the intention of a person, I ask God, show me the true face of this person. And eventually it leads me to see through and to see the truth and understand the intentions and know exactly what to do next. When I'm not sure about the situation, I ask the question, show me something I don't know. And eventually I get the answers. So what I'm trying to say here is to surrender, to let go of that ego self state, to understand that you are in control because you are actually not in control. You are to remember that that script that is playing is out of your own choice, because you came here for a purpose and you came here to remember and to understand the choices you have done and to lead your life from that inner state, from that higher state. So remember to ask the questions, to communicate with that higher force that you want to call it in whatever way you want to call it, the universe, God, the divine, the source, the absolute consciousness, and to surrender that to that force that is way bigger, way stronger, and that is the way forward to lead you to your own inner truth. So now I would like to end this with a question. Where are you in your journey? I'd like you to realize where you're at. Are you in that judge and victim dynamic? How is this serving you? Did you ever consider to observe, to understand, to reflect, to understand that you are the co-creator of your life, that you are a very powerful manifester, but what you're manifesting is not your true self, it's what happened to you, and that is still active within you. And to re-invite that true self that was lost among the many layers of conditionings that has separated you from that true self, your soul blueprint that was pushed away behind that light state that you are, but you're not in touch with, and to recollect that and to make sure to live a life that is coming from the state of your higher state, which is your soul state, which is a co-creator state that is in charge. It is operating from a higher intelligence, from an emotional intelligence state, to understand that you are the co-creator that is changing the script when the script is not serving you anymore. Your answers are all available within. Dig deeper and make that life on earth worthwhile. Remember who you are. That's your best gift. Thank you.